everyone. Welcome to our podcast, Growth Stories. My name is Rima. I'm marketing lead at Trilo. In this podcast, we share inspiring stories of industry experts whom we admire, and we try to uncover their path to success and something that we can learn and take away. Today, we have with us AB Gupta, the co-founder of the Pizza Bakery, winner of the Best Pizza at Times Food Award. AB, along with his brother Nikhil, is recreating the Naples in Bangalore and Sri Lanka with their unique and also delicious Neapolitan pizzas. They started in 2017, and up until now, they have around 20 outlets both in India and Sri Lanka. They have been featured in multiple papers, including Times of India, The Hindu, Deccan Herald, Indian Express, and India Today, to name a few. So, without further ado, let's dig in. Welcome, AB, and we are excited to have you on this podcast and talk all about pizza.
Yeah, thanks, Rima, for that wonderful introduction. It's very nice to be here and share whatever we've learned so far.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. So, let's begin with your introduction. You can talk a bit about, yourself, your journey. How did you guys started the pizza bakery and the story behind the sourdough pizza? Because that is something that is unique to me as well.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, we when I say we, Nikhil, my brother, and I, we started this brand, the Pizza Bakery, in 2017, December 1st, 2017. So towards the fag end of it. So it's been a little over 5 years now. It was quite a simple thesis. We just didn't find good traditional Neapolitan style pizzas in Bangalore. And having traveled a lot when we were younger, teenagers, family holidays, etc., we always ate great pizzas in Europe. So we wanted to kind of experience the same thing in our home city, because we moved back, joined the family business, etc., and we didn't find any place that was kind of doing it right the way we thought it should be done. Not that we knew anything else about the food industry, but we were like, okay, maybe we should give this a shot. We
Yeah.
saw a gap in the market, and it's pizza. Who doesn't like pizza? I'm sure if we do it well, we'll be able to sustain an outlet and maybe even make it profitable. That's as far as we thought. There were no big ambitions of scale and having as many outlets as we have today. We were like, let's just start with one. Hopefully people will like it. Let's pick a good location, because location is really important in the restaurant industry. So we didn't compromise on all those basic facts. We didn't do any rocket science. And neither of us were chefs. So we hired a consultant, and kind of got the kind of dough that we really wanted. We knew what we wanted, and that's, I think, that makes having consultant productive. Like if we just went to consultant, be like, we want traditional pizza, there's like 20 different types. Like, what kind of pizza, what kind of dough, what kind of fermentation, like, do you want it to be sour, do you want it to be airy, fluffy, thin crust, New York style, Italian style? There's so many variables to it, but we knew exactly what we wanted, so we went after that with the help of a consultant. Fast forward to December 2017, we opened our first outlet in Indiranagar, in 12th Main, which was like a bustling hotpot of all sorts of modern cuisines and restaurants. So we were very clear that we wanted to be there. That went really well. We opened a little part of the first floor. There was great feedback. People were lining up outside the door. So we were like, okay, maybe we should make this restaurant a little bigger. So we took the rooftop as well of the same property, and eventually became this is still our flagship outlet, and it became a 120-seater. And then we started filling in those seats as well. And people from different parts of Bangalore were like, oh, I'm traveling all the way from Whitefield. I'm traveling all the way from Jayanagar, or, you guys should open more. And literally just listened to people, observe demand, and just kept taking the logical next step. So we opened one more, and then another, and then another. Fast forward 5 years. We just had our 5-year anniversary celebration in the office a couple of weeks ago, posted a bunch of stuff on social media, etc. Fast forward 5 years, we have 11 pizza bakeries. And along the way, we kind of realized what we were good at. We were very good at productizing food. We met Nicholas from France, who lives in Bangalore, and he was running this food truck. We met him, and he was kind of trying to figure out what his next step was. And that's how Paris Panini was conceived. And yeah, we have 10 Paris Paninis now as well. So Paris Panini is a very different brand. It's also a casual dining brand, gourmet product. We focus on gourmet sandwiches, crepes, coffee, and things like that. So Paris Panini is also grown in tandem with Pizza Bakery. So it's been quite a journey overall. We have 20 outlets in Bangalore, and we have one location in Colombo in Sri Lanka. So yeah, we just gonna keep doing the same thing and see how far this can take us. Yeah.
That's amazing, and
Yeah.
that's amazing. And congratulations on completing 5 years for Pizza
Thank you.
Victory. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
when you mentioned that when you guys opened, you had like, word of mouth being your like one of the major marketing tool. Any other marketing activity that you guys did like initially to spread the word out?
Marketing wise, in the initial year, the
Yeah.
first year, it was just word of mouth, I think. Obviously, we were on Instagram and we were posting, and
Yeah.
we weren't spending anything on Instagram. We did the usual traditional PR, we got some press releases out saying that
Hmm.
whatever, Bangalore has this new sourdough pizza place, blah, 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 like the usual PR routine that pretty much every place does. But that was a burst. That was like a 2 months or 3 month burst, and then we stopped. We just continued focusing on our product, because the thing with food is, in the initial days, discovery happens automatically because people
Okay.
like to talk about food. That's just the way the social uh,
Yeah.
world is designed. Like, people always meet their friends and talk about what they ate, what they drank, and where they went. Like, what else do you
Right.
talk about? So it's kind of ingrained into the way we interact as humans. And Bangalore is much like that. People love to talk about food here because honestly, there's not much else to do in Bangalore. Like, there's eating, and then it's pub city, so there's drinking. So it's primarily what people talk about. So we didn't need to toy around too much. Having said that, towards the middle of our existence, like say around the year 2.5, 3 mark, we started taking social media more seriously.
Okay.
Uh, we started exploring options where we could maybe retarget old customers,
Mm.
lost customers, things like that, just to kind of keep the ball rolling. And as we got into newer micro markets that aren't
Mm.
as the first few outlets, like Indiranagar, Church Street, we opened in Kamanhalli,
Okay.
Kalyan area, then we opened in Sanjay Nagar. So we needed to kind of up our social media game. So we started spending on Instagram, not much, just
Mm.
a fraction of what a lot of the online D2C e-commerce companies spend, just a tiny fraction, just to keep that relevance up,
Mm.
become a slightly older brand. That discovery and that excitement and that word of mouth kind of starts reducing.
Understand.
It's still a big part of our business. Word of mouth is still what we rely on, but we're
Mm.
looking at digital means now. And in fact, over the next year or two, we need to figure out how to maybe collect customer data and start advertising to them and things like that.
Right. So up until now, you're not using any major tech for your business.
No, we don't have a tech solution. I mean, we take we spend on this one part I missed out. We spend
Hmm.
on aggregators a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
Zomato, because that's also a form of discovery. And there's a phone mobile screen is only this big, so when you open the switch,
Yeah.
if someone looks for pizza, you want to be the one to show up.
Hmm.
So but I count that more as a performance rather than like branding.
Right.
So we spend on Zomato and Swiggy. But apart from that, we haven't really used any sort of tech advertising platform. No Google ads.
Right.
We've never run a Google
Right.
ad in our lives. Just some basic Instagram boosting our posts and
Right. Right. But
playing around
apart
with
from
graphics.
this, there are like apart from this too, there are a lot of technology that I speak to a lot of sort of restaurant owners that started adapting and using. So how important do you think technology plays an important role in this food and beverage industry?
Yeah. You mean advertising technology or just technology in general?
Just tech in general. It could be anything, just tech in general. So from when I speak to a lot of restaurant owners, they use technology for their marketing tools. They use technology for like inventory management, or
Yeah.
maybe just keeping tabs of like inside the restaurants or what's happening, and so on and so forth. These are just a few things. So how important do you think this tech plays a role?
Super important. I mean, for a brand that's 5 years old, scaling to 21 different
Yeah.
outlets across two brands would, I don't want to say impossible, because yeah, you can make anything happen technically, but it would have been a pain and a very inefficient way to do it without the different technology solutions that we have solving different problems that we
Right,
have.
right.
I'm just looking at my screen right now, and there's, we use a task management software
Okay.
so we have a management team of around 8 people, and we kind of allocate projects and tasks to each other and see how
Hmm.
each person's um, progressing on that. And it's easy for Nikhil and I as founders also to see what the team is up to, especially the core team. So we use an app called Todoist for that.
Yeah, I've heard about them.
Yeah, so Todoist is a backbone. And then there's the outlet level stuff, like all the
Hmm.
outlet managers and supervisors and stuff. They have daily checklists, weekly checklists, which previously was all paper pen, like you check. Yeah, clean
Yeah.
the windows, did deep cleaning of the water supply and
Right.
whatever. Like it could be a bunch of different things. That was a physical checklist that's now moved to a software solution called Peak Scale, where it's all digitized, and if someone's not entered a specific checklist,
Hmm.
then management team gets notified, and then we can kind of call that out and figure out what's going on, etc. So that's already two. And then there's Urban Piper, which is a big partner of ours. It helps us to aggregate all our online orders from the different aggregators
Hmm.
into a single screen, single flow. So on a busy weekend, my manager of any manager
Yeah.
given outlet is not like juggling between 3-4 different tablets or screens or whatever, trying to accept orders from aggregators. We just look at this one single interface of Urban Piper and accept the order, reject the order, do whatever we need to do. So that's been a game changer too. And just something more basic also, like Google Sheets. Google
Right.
Sheets, like everything in our company, like the way we
Hmm.
anything that needs to be prepared, any report that needs to be done is done on Google Sheets. All our vendor prices and comparisons and everything from purchasing in stores to kitchen operations to SOPs to HR documentation, anything is
Yeah.
stored on Google Drive. And so Google Sheets and Docs
Hmm.
are imperative to our operating
Right.
routine.
So you would
So
say that all of this tech that you use has a good impact in productivity and costing as well. It helps in all of those things a lot too.
yeah. I mean, it just makes everyone more efficient. It's easier to it helps you scale faster and responsibly,
Yeah.
and yeah, you kind of know what's going on, and you're less people dependent. Like back
Right.
in the day, if you want to know what's going on, you want to report on something, you have to ask one person to send you an Excel file of that report. But if it's always on Google Drive, you could just kind of log in and check it out and see what's going on. Or if you want to know what your team's up to, earlier you may have to make like 6 calls or have like a meeting or something like
Hmm.
that. If you have a nice task management app and you know what everyone's doing
Right.
different points in the day, you can just kind of look at that and be like, okay, so this person's here, this person's in North Bangalore, this person's focusing on some outdoor catering project. That's what's happening this week. It helps plan our resources more efficiently for sure. So yeah, I
Right.
can't imagine working
Tech and tools.
without even any one of the softwares I
Hmm.
named. Like these are extremely crucial to our existence as a company.
Right. I'm sure some of our listeners are going to take away from this. We spoke a lot about having 20 outlets and two brands, including 20 outlets. How do you maintain the balance between the standards while also maintaining the experience, while also maintaining the costing? Because I know that a lot of external factors are involved, like sourcing is involved, raw materials is involved, all of those things. So how do you maintain that in between 20 outlets, two brands, and one international outlet as well?
Yeah, so once you start growing, like in the first 2 years, you're focusing on getting your product market
Hmm.
fit, having the
Yeah.
right dough, the right kind of sauce, right cheese, the right menu
Hmm.
mix, etc. After about 3 years, you broadly figure that out. So all our focus over the last 2 years has been standardization, quality control, everything that you just
Hmm.
mentioned,
Hmm. Yeah.
cost control, and things like that. And because we are operating as a hub and spoke model where all our procurement is done centrally through
Okay.
this, we have a huge central facility where we store all our dough, cheese, meats. We procure in
Hmm.
bulk. This helps with our food costing. We can negotiate better rates with our vendors. So we procure in bulk and we store it in gigantic warehouses, cold rooms, etc. so the procurement and food costing bit is solved there, and most of our key ingredient preparation is also done within the central kitchen. So all our sauces, our dough itself, right? Like you couldn't go to our JP Nagar outlet and say, the dough here was a little whatever thinner than the dough in Indiranagar, or it felt a little more dense. It's not possible because all the dough is made centrally, and this is nothing that we're reinventing. Like Domino's, Pizza Hut, etc. All these guys have operated like this for a while, so it's all kind of centrally done. And there's a dispatch system that we have every day where dough, sauce, cheese, meats, and all the different sub recipes that we have for several of our menu items leaves from the central kitchen every morning, reaches different outlets by the afternoon. So all that's happening in the outlets is assembly and just minor interventions with the food. Like finally, at the outlet level, you just have to plate the salad, or you have to just make the pasta. But all the pasta portions are pre-portioned pre-portioned before itself, so the person doesn't have to worry about am I putting more, am I putting less in different outlets. So that helps our standardization. Having said that, we also have a lot of checks and balances in place, and weekly checklists, daily checklists, training programs to make sure that the guys are using the right measures. Like if you order a barbecue chicken pizza, you have to use the right measure of barbecue sauce, right? Not just eyeball it, which often happens if you're not constantly training the staff and monitoring as well. So training is one thing. Monitoring is where it's just a continuous process, never ends. Like it's constant systems that we have in place that help us monitor these things. And again, technology really helps make all this a lot easier.
Right. So when you spoke about that, in like about 2-3 years, you get the hang of, all of the recipes and then you just focus on standardization of all of those things. So initially, when you guys started, any tips or tricks that you share, about the pricing? Like how did you land up on the pricing? What all factors did you guys consider while fixing that?
So pricing, it's a combination of things. It's not an exact science, I would say. So ideally, no restaurateur or no restaurant business or food business would want to have their menu item priced in a way that the cost for that item is any more than 30%. So that forms one base. But at the same time, maybe that's not possible with all dishes, because the rest of the market, if they're charging a certain amount for, say, a Caesar salad, you want to kind of try and stay in that lane too. You don't want to, if some people are charging generally between 300 and 400 for a Caesar salad, you don't want to start charging 485.
Right.
Like, though you use the best ingredients or better ingredients, you can't justify it after a point, right? If you literally have the best cheese in the world going into that Caesar salad, you can't justify it that way, because it's, at the end of the day, customers will see Caesar salad here, Caesar salad there. What's going on? So we look at our food costs and we look at what other restaurants price it at, and usually restaurants of our kind of caliber, and we kind of benchmark ourselves against different competitors and things like that, and just make sure it's at a safe level. But apart from that, it's not an exact science really. Overall, at the end of the month, we might have some menu items which have food cost of 35-36%, but some maybe at a 20-21%. So as long as it kind of averages out between 25 and 30%, we're generally happy.
Right. So do you guys keep adding different things in your menu, seasonal wise, or year by year?
We don't. So we don't get into this whole seasonal business, because at scale it's very difficult to execute this. Like just training people across the 20 locations, it's not something that's so easy to do. So if we do a menu change, if we make a menu change, we do something that's a little more permanent. Anything at such a large scale takes about 2 months to kind of train people, and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that, 4 weeks after that, just monitor and make sure it's actually being done properly. And then the season's over. So the whole seasonal thing doesn't make sense at scale. If we were a 1, 2, 3 outlet kind of brand, you could do all this kind of stuff and make it work. But
how difficult it is to introduce new items to the menu then? I mean,
it's tricky.
Have you? Okay.
It's tricky because like I said, the main issue with introducing new items is we could sit in the central kitchen, do a lot of R&D with
Yeah.
our senior chefs like
Hmm.
Guru, Dyuman and stuff. These guys are extremely creative. They could come up with something amazing and we'll all love it. And we can be like, yeah, let's launch this on the menu
Hmm.
immediately. But that immediately itself takes about 2 or 3 weeks because we have to get
Hmm.
menus reprinted. We have to do our online aggregator menu changes. We need to
Right.
train staff at all levels, not just the head chef of
Hmm.
each outlet, but we train the head chefs and then they have to train their subordinates. And then the
Right.
subordinates and the head chef himself, they need time to practice and learn these different things. And they'll get
Right.
it wrong because it's not any new thing just doesn't come out right the first
Hmm.
time. So there's a lot of, and they'll give us feedback saying, this is not working out, the plating's too
Hmm.
difficult during busy times,
Hmm.
we're struggling. And then we have to wait for customers' feedback simultaneously as well.
Right.
Maybe the dish is not as great as we thought, and we're like, oh my God, we've already trained like 20 locations now, and people are saying they don't like it.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
pulling
a
that back itself.
just scaling that back, then they'll have to send back all the ingredients that we had sent for this
Hmm.
item back to the central
Yeah.
kitchen. It's I understand the reason why a lot of
Hmm.
the larger global brands like Taco Bell, KFC,
Yeah.
and stuff, they hardly introduce new things. Like once
Yeah.
a year, they'll advertise some new
Yeah.
chuck
Yeah.
fries or some.
I don't even think once a year. I think it's
Yeah,
once in like 2, 3 years they launch
exactly,
something new.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
KFC had that same Zinger Burger, original recipe fried chicken, and the hot and crispy fried. I mean, that's basically half their menu. And then there's some here and there's like one or two things that they keep experimenting with.
Yeah.
It's been the same thing circulating for the last 10, 15 years because it's just so
Right.
hard to do at scale. And these guys do it at like a national scale. I'm talking about 20 locations. These guys are talking about 200, 300, 400 locations. So,
Right. Right.
uh, yeah, mad respect to such brands. But I'm like we feel the pain of making swift changes
Yeah.
as we become a bigger
Hmm.
company. We also become slower and more sluggish, less startup like. Earlier it was
Right.
like, we like this, let's launch it tomorrow, fine, day after, no
Yeah.
problem. Go ahead, train the guy. He's right there. I mean, just go train him.
Yeah. But that's not possible over time.
Not possible now. We send
Yeah.
videos. We have training manual. We have again Google Drive. We have a lot of training videos that our chefs
Right.
can refer to if they forget something, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are processes set basically, and those are very important to you, you would say.
Yeah. It's everything's process based, and
Hmm.
setting processes is the easier part. Monitoring the processes is what we find a challenge with, and but we're getting better on it. We need to figure out that these processes are actually being followed. Right now, at
Right.
some point, you wake up and you're like, we have a lot of processes, fantastic, but who's actually monitoring these processes? Like
Yeah.
you need at some point. I feel like we need like a team of maybe 2 or 3 people. Long term, maybe when we grow to like 30, 40 hours, team of 2 or 3 people literally just spending their whole time with Poco
Monitor.
Ventures, which is our parent company, just monitoring processes. Right now, we just have process creators and trainers, but
Right.
the monitoring part isn't really happening as well as I would maybe want it
Yeah.
to happen. But yeah,
I
it's
am 100% sure you guys reach there very soon.
hopefully.
Yeah. Let's talk international. I mean, I am very curious to know the journey and the decision. Why Sri Lanka? How is that working for you guys? And how are you managing that as well, within this industry, understanding their culture, setting over there, and why Sri Lanka?
So Sri Lanka was again, it's kind of like a menu pricing. It's not a
Yeah.
purely a scientific business number-based decision.
Yeah.
We just uh, felt that at that point, 2018 was
Hmm.
when we started exploring Sri Lanka towards the end of 2018. 2018-19, Sri Lanka was going through this boom phase where there was a lot of Chinese travel. People were touting it as the next Singapore, like the Singapore
Okay.
of South Asia, with a lot of development, Chinese investment, etc., etc., etc. Obviously, now all that's gone to
Hmm.
the dogs because they have an economic crisis going on.
Yeah.
Somehow we're still able to ride through this phase. But yeah, it was a bet on the future, like of Colombo, because we felt like there is no standout pizza brand there, and it's a complete blue ocean.
Okay.
And one day Sri Lanka will have a dominant pizza
Hmm.
player as the economy grows and as more people come in from China. Because one thing that they lack as a country is population. But as foreign investment comes in, there's more expats and more travelers and more transient
Hmm.
population. So this will really help sales. So we're still bullish on Sri Lanka. It's just taking a little longer than we expected. Um, so yeah, it was just a bet on the future and grabbing a share of a brand new market and
Hmm.
thinking a little differently. I mean, it's going to Bangalore and then Chennai and then Hyderabad and then Bombay and then Delhi is very obvious, and
Yeah.
we could still do that. There's nothing wrong with that, but maybe there's a way to think a little differently and be one step ahead of everyone else. If Colombo happens to be the next Bombay,
Hmm.
next Bangalore, you want to make sure that you're there first. So we decided to just try that out. Also, it was a lifestyle decision partly too, because I love Colombo. I think it's a beautiful city,
Hmm.
clean air to breathe, beautiful roads. People are so sweet and friendly, etc. So it's a place that Nikhil and I saw ourselves going to and enjoying going there. There's no away
Right.
from all this Bangalore traffic and dust and stuff like that. So it was a great place to do business. And flying to Colombo was the same as flying to Hyderabad, or in
Okay.
fact, flying to Colombo from Bangalore is shorter than flying to Bombay. Can you believe that? Bombay is a 2 hour,
Okay.
yeah, is a 2 hour, 2 hours, 15-minute flight, I think,
Hmm.
or maybe 2 hour flight from Bangalore. But Colombo is an hour and 20 minutes.
So
So,
that's nearer. That's another reason to have
yeah,
that.
I mean, it's the same logistically,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
it's even more efficient. That was one reason. And yeah, we also felt like if we crack another country, like say
Hmm.
Sri Lanka, then maybe we could do Singapore after that, right? Because
Hmm.
then we figure out a system on and how to manage an international team, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. We have more confidence to do Singapore, and then who knows? You branch
Hmm.
off Dubai. It could be anything. So
Yeah.
we were just excited by the unknowns.
Yeah.
So we're still learning. We're still learning, but yeah, we'll figure that out.
Were there any major challenges that you guys faced while moving into like a different country, a different culture, maybe, or
Yeah. There was like Colombo itself is a dominantly Muslim population, and they have a lot of
yeah.
Orthodox Muslims there, and they don't eat in restaurants that serve pork at all. And we didn't think that would be such. I mean, there are restaurants that serve pork, but uh, it was not a good idea to start off with pork on the menu. We realized
Hmm.
because a lot of the big spenders, a lot of the business families are Muslim and they're Orthodox Muslims, right? So
Yeah.
they will not eat in a restaurant that has pork. So we saw our
Hmm.
footfalls struggling in the initial phase. So then we made a very swift change.
Hmm.
We got rid of pork pepperoni and we changed to beef.
Hmm.
So all our Colombo pepperoni and red meat is beef, whereas in India it's all pork. So that was a
Hmm.
big cultural shift for us and taught us how to respond and adapt to different environments. We can't
Hmm.
just go out with our fixed mindset and be like, no, this is how we
Yeah.
just feed people what they don't want. So we had to be no ego involved. So we quickly changed the menu. And apart from that, yeah, they like their seafood and things like that. So there's a couple of things on the menu that wouldn't
Hmm.
necessarily work in, like we have a crab, like a really nice crab pizza in Colombo, but people in India probably wouldn't really like that. But that's quite popular there. It's got crab and
Okay.
peanut butter on the pizza. So uh,
Crabs on pizza. That's something that even I haven't heard.
yeah.
Like,
So it's a
yeah.
very different kind of pizza. Yeah, local taste basically. And we took feedback from our managers and
Hmm.
chefs, and did a lot of trials, and we were
Hmm.
open to learning from them. And yeah, things are going well, despite COVID and the travel lockdown, and then the Sri Lankan economic crisis as a result of the previous two
Yeah.
things. It's gone okay. Yeah, it's not really. Um, a
Yeah.
pain point at this point. The way I see it, it can only go upwards from here. So
Yeah.
really look forward to a lot of progress in Colombo.
But any pre-research tips that you would like to share, like before moving into country? Like you talked about the cultural difference between pork and beef.
Mhm.
So such kind of things, if pre-researched or maybe, done like an experiment or something, would help other restaurant owners figure this out sooner.
Uh, yeah, I mean, so the thing is, we did do a lot of research. You
Hmm.
go. I mean, this setting up a a restaurant or a bar or whatever it is in another city, let alone country, you
Yeah.
would tend to do a lot of research, right? Like
Yeah.
we saw what competitors were doing, we saw what their menu, their
Hmm.
pricing, product makes, whether they have pork, beef, whatever it was.
Hmm.
But nothing will, those things will give you cues. But and
Yeah.
we always had this pork beef thing at the back of our minds, but nothing will teach you what people actually want and what adaptations are required until you actually do it.
Right.
No amount of research that we could have done would have uh, told us to do beef from day one.
Right. Yeah. True.
Because that's just not something that you could get from research. Yeah.
Right, true. We spoke about technology and we spoke about real estate. So, real estate, like you mentioned yourself, plays an important role in a restaurant success, right? So, how did you approach that? Any specific thing that helped your decision while creating new outlets and your first outlet itself too there?
Yeah, I mean it's a food business, no doubt,
Yeah.
and it's a brand building kind of industry because you have to also get the word out through word of mouth or good Instagram advertising,
Hmm.
etc. But after all that stuff, it's a real estate business. The
Yeah.
restaurant industry lives, thrives, and dies on location. So location is not something anyone watching. I mean, if there's a young
Hmm.
entrepreneur that's aspiring to start off some restaurant or something like that, and has an opportunity between a really nice site with like beautiful trees and a nice road tucked away
Yeah.
in slightly average location compared to a slightly more uncomfortable, stuffy place in a throbbing location, but with which
Hmm.
you could do pick the throbbing location, pick the busy place because you need footfall, you need people to see you, you
Hmm.
need eyeballs, you need those random walk-ins. That stuff you can't pay for.
Right.
So just get your location right. Don't compromise on it. It's a real estate game. And we've been very patient with our locations. For example, if you want to open a restaurant, you might be
Hmm.
on a certain schedule, right? But
Hmm. Yeah.
it's a very odd thing. Like sometimes it could take way longer than you expect. For example, when we started looking out for our Church Street outlet,
Hmm.
I think we looked on Church Street for a year.
For a year.
We did not want to compromise.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have opened something in Church Street. Like there was a couple of options shown
Hmm.
to us, but it wasn't. When you look at but where on Church Street, right? Like you need to be a
Yeah.
little specific on what you want. We kind of knew what we're willing to do and what we're just not willing to do. So
Hmm.
be very, very, very fussy about your location because that'll be the first thing you blame if things don't work out.
Yeah.
So
True.
so don't give yourself that chance. Like even if there's 100 other reasons that a restaurant business fails. This is not an easy industry. Like most
Yeah.
restaurants, like that's a given. But the last thing you want to do is when things are not working out, you don't want to sit back and think, "Damn, maybe I should have opened it on the next lane instead of this one." Or
Right.
or 2 kilometers away from here where a lot of people seem to be going instead of here.
Right.
My food is amazing. Everyone gives me good feedback, but maybe it's just the location because then you won't have the guts to try it out the second time. So get
Right.
your location right the first time. And a way to do that is if it's your home city, then you already know like where do you go out with your family? Where do you go out with
Hmm.
your friends? What are the roads that you like to walk around and try new places in? Where do your cousins and other friends
Yeah.
that you go speak to them? Yeah, and that there's no better way to narrow in on a specific location than that, and then
Yeah.
speak to brokers and say, I want something within this radius. Anything
Right.
else, don't even show it to me because they will show these brokers also. They'll be like, no, but I have this great. It's just 2 blocks away. It's this great
Yeah.
location. You guys should
Hmm.
just come and have a look. Just come and have a look. Yeah, fine,
Yeah.
go have a look. There's no harm having a look, but maybe it'll change your mind. Maybe he's right, but you ideally you shouldn't compromise on your location. Is what I'm trying to say.
I think realistic people, they're amazing salespersons. They have this knack of making people believe that this is the best for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's their
Mm.
job, so
Yeah.
that's what they'll always try and close the deal faster because no broker is going to enjoy working with you for 6 months and showing you like 20 places and you just keep rejecting them, right? Like that.
Yeah.
So that's the other flip side of it. So you need to have a good list of brokers. Don't rely on one or two guys.
Hmm.
fire out your request to 20, 30, 40 brokers in the initial days. After that, you will arrive at like a few core brokers that you've done deals with who trust you because they know that you're a serious person and you'll actually close in on a place, end up working with you. And that's how we've grown. Like now, initially we had like 10, 15 brokers that we'd send out every request to, but now there's like a handful, like 2, maximum 3 brokers that we work with, who know that we're very serious. We're a growing organization, and even if we take 6 months, we will finalize a location. So they know that they're working towards an end goal, and they will get that with us. So take it very seriously for you. They'll go the extra mile of, finding properties that don't yet have a to-let board on it. So you get these deals before they go out into the market, which could be really helpful.
Yeah. Even if it's a year, you guys will do it.
Yeah.
That's easy. I just have now 3 more questions before we close this. So can you share any exciting plans or projects that you have in works for the Pizza Bakery?
Yeah, I mean, more of the same, really. So we're opening Koramangala very soon. So I think that's the first time I'm publicly saying this. So you guys get to know first. We're opening a Pizza Bakery and a Paris Panini in Koramangala. And we're also we're converting our JP Nagar Cloud Kitchen of both brands, Pizza Bakery and Paris Panini, like a really nice, beautiful outlet in Nikhil's and my grandmom's property, actually. So that's going to be exciting. There's this beautiful tree that's going to cover the roof, and we're really excited about that. That's going to be a landmark location for Pizza Bakery in South Bangalore. So these are the 4 outlets that we have coming up in the next 3-4 months. So all our focus and energy is going into that.
Yeah, you guys do like a lot of greens. I've not been to the place, but I've seen like a lot of pictures and a lot of plants at places that I've seen. A lot of greens.
Yeah. We that's part of our ambience. We have like a certain design theme that we work with. It's vintage, at the same time it's edgy, with like a splash of greenery here and there. That's for Pizza Bakery. And for Paris Panini, it's more modern, quirky, and refreshing, I would say. So we have blue and white with like black and white doodles on the wall. So very bright, refreshing, kind of like a nice place to sit down and have a coffee, have a crepe, or just bite into a sandwich.
Right. Focusing on the millennials, post-millennial generation.
Yeah, whoever. I mean, grandmothers, grandfathers, kids, teenagers, preteens. That's what I like about our it's for everyone. Like there's no it's literally for everyone. We have this old couple who've been visiting us in Karanagar. They're probably in their late 60s, early 70s. And they're regulars at Hyderabad. There's just 2 of them. They come, every other weekend, and they sit there and have a glass of, husband has a pint of beer, wife has a mocktail, and they share a pizza and a garlic bread, and they go home. At the same time, you'll see like a whole bunch of, millennial IT tech startup kind of guys, clinking mugs and celebrating something, eating chicken wings and pasta. And the next table, you'll see like little 12-year-old, 11-year-old kids who've kind of dragged their parents and brought them to eat their favorite margarita pizza or whatever. So it's for everyone. Like it's a family restaurant. We'd like to think we transcend generations. So whoever likes good pizza, pasta, and sandwiches, which is, I think, all of Bangalore, can come in.
Any bold decision that you've had to make during your journey that you're still proud of?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
Any bold decision that you guys had to make during your journey in the last 5.5, 6 years that you're still proud of?
Bold decision that we're proud of.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I think a bold decision that we're proud of. I think to firstly start the company itself, that was quite a decision, considering Nikhil and I, neither of us have an experience in the food industry. We can't cook. We knew nothing about operating at that point. So that was the boldest. Like, I guess to start this whole project in the first place was bold. The second one I would say that we're proud of was the partnering with Nicholas and bringing Paris Panini into the fold. because that's just added a new dimension to our company, and now we have two brands because of that. So and that's been very rewarding. So and they're both growing brands, and we're getting it right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be the other bold decision, I would say. But yeah, I'm going to think about this more and maybe answer it better the next time.
Yeah, I'll be waiting on that. And finally, before we close, what is the one piece of advice that you have for our listeners looking to carve out a niche in this industry?
Focus on product.
Yeah.
Don't focus on cuisine. So if you want to start a restaurant, don't start an Italian restaurant. Start a pasta special.
Right.
It's like, where pasta is the hero, and maybe you could have like a slight Italian restaurant around it, but focus on pasta. It's just an example. Don't start an American cuisine. Start a burger brand. Don't start a Chinese cuisine restaurant. The thing is, cuisine-based restaurants the market's overcrowded, so you won't stand out. But product-based brands are few and far between. So if you want to start a Chinese brand, you may as well do a dim sum parlor, right? Do something like that. Or if you want to start a Vietnamese or a Burmese place, right? Don't do Burmese. Do a place that only has khao sui. You can have a few other things too, but make it a khao sui special. That's what we do, right? Like Paris panini is not French cuisine and all that stuff. It's not. It's gourmet sandwiches. We do the panini. That's the product. Pizza bakery is not Italian and this and that. We don't even have like Italian main courses on the menu. We focus on sourdough Neapolitan style pizza. So product based, and it's in the name. It's called the Pizza Bakery.
Yeah.
It's not called Sicilia or some vague name like that, right?
So that positioning.
Yeah. So
it helps them.
Yeah, position your branding and restaurant and your messaging and the way you speak about your brand around the product, cuisine. I think just this piece of advice, if you take on board, will help you skip a lot of hurdles that a lot of restaurants struggle with.
Yeah, that was amazing. And all of this pizza talk, now I'm going to order pizza for my lunch today.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, thank you, Mr. AB, for joining us today. It was an amazing talk that we had, and I'm sure our listeners are going to take a lot from this. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Rima. Thank you.